welcome back to my channel. Today I have some of the 5 best ever crockpot recipes that I have made, and I'm going to share them with you, and I'm so excited. I am going to do 4 dinners and then 1 dessert, because what is better than dessert? If you're new here, my name is Rhea Peterson. I upload multiple times a week covering things like cleaning and organization, motivation, and mom life, but I also love talking about food. I am a certified personal trainer. Nutrition is a big thing for me. I love to share the recipes that I find with you, not necessarily light or deemed healthy, but just fun, balanced meals that I like to share with my family. If you want to see more recipes, meal prep, or cleaning and organization, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, and let's get started. Here are our ingredients. Pasta, I've got some onion and garlic. This one calls for coconut milk. Got that. Some sun-dried tomatoes. I'm getting kind of low, but I should have enough for this one. Italian seasoning, salt and pepper. And then this stuff over here, it called for 19-ounce cans of white beans, but my store only had 15-ounce cans, or 15 and a half, so I'll make it work. Diced tomatoes, vegetable stock. I don't have that, but I have this Better Than Bouillon vegetable base. I really like this stuff. It keeps forever in the fridge and lasts forever as well. You just do a teaspoon for every cup of water. And then chopped spinach. I should have just enough here. This should be quick to throw together. All we have to do is chop up the onion, get the garlic going, and then we can put everything into our crock pot. These recipes have very minimal prep, but it's usually things like chopping onion, maybe sauteing a little bit beforehand. This chopper has helped save so much time, and I really like using it. But for this one, you just need to saute the onion for a little bit to kind of soften it, and then you're going to move on to the blender to make the sauce. For the blender, you're going to add your coconut milk, garlic, sun-dried tomatoes, the Italian seasoning, and salt, and then you're just going to blend that together until it is nice and smooth. Once that is all done and your onions are nice and tender, you add it all into the crock pot. I'm adding my Better Than Bouillon. This calls for 3 cups of vegetable broth, so I am just doing 3 teaspoons of the Better Than Bouillon, and then I will add in the 3 cups of water once I get all the other ingredients in. You definitely need a 4-year-old to come and help you mix it in. That is a very important step. Alice heard the blender and had to join me. She's such a good helper. This is one you could definitely add like a chicken breast to, or even canned chicken. If you wanted to add a meat, the beans and the noodles are very hearty. I love having lots of meatless options during the week, and this one is a really good one for that, and my kids really enjoyed it. But once it cooks for a while, the last hour, you add in a cup or so of your noodles. I'm using gluten-free pasta, and gluten-free pasta does break down a little bit more than a regular wheat pasta would, so the noodles will kind of fall apart. So it doesn't look as pretty in the end for me, but it still tastes really good. But that is going to sit and soften and cook for an hour, and then there you go with the noodles all done. They look pretty now, but the more you stir it, they break down a little bit. But now I'm going to add in the spinach. I could chop it, but I didn't want to dirty up anything, so I'm just tearing it. It's going to soften and break down anyways. It doesn't need to be in super tiny pieces. once it was all ready to go, we just served ours with a little bit of toast. You could make rolls, have salad, whatever you like to have with soups. But it was really good, and my house smelled amazing. My kids liked it. This is a good one for like a chilly fall evening for sure. Here are our ingredients. This one's really easy. I just am using half of one of the big things of tortellini you get at Costco, cream cheese, chicken stock, salt, pepper, garlic powder, and onion powder, cheese. I have this bag of already shredded cheese that I need to use, so I'm just going to use this. And then spinach. I'm very low on spinach, but I'm going to make it work with what I have. Very quick and easy to put together. This one is a full-on dump and go meal that doesn't require really any prep at all, no chopping or anything. And it's a good one if you forget to start your crock pot or you need a more last minute type meal. This one only needs to cook for about 2.5 hours, start to finish. So you get all of the ingredients into the crock pot and then you just set it and walk away. You have to stir it a little bit, but other than that, it's a really easy and quick one. And this one by far was my kids' favorite. It was so good. I ended up just roasting up some veggies that I had to have as a side. I grew up, my dad always made sure that there was a vegetable on the side, so it's ingrained in me. But this one was really good. It was very hearty and delicious. Did not take a lot of prep or anything. So good. Here are our ingredients. We have some frozen spinach that needs to be thawed and drained. We've got our cheese, mozzarella and ricotta, lasagna noodles. For our produce, carrots, onion. It calls for a cup of onion. I already have this diced, so I'm just going to use this red onion. And then baby bella mushrooms. And then we just have Italian seasoning, tomato sauce, and marinara. We have to cook the we have to cook the mushrooms up a little bit and chop up some of the carrots, but otherwise this one should be pretty quick to throw together, and it does not take very long to cook in the crock pot. This one you start off by turning your crock pot onto high and putting 2/3 cup of the marinara sauce into it so it can warm up. This one doesn't cook as long as a soup would. It's very similar to the tortellini. It doesn't need as long to cook. I really liked this one. This one actually might have been one of my favorites that I made. These are all so good, but I did really like this one. You could very easily sub the mushrooms with ground beef or something like that. I don't digest beef very well. It makes my stomach kind of hurt. So I like to do the mushrooms, and I've said before, I love to have meatless options in the house. We usually only have pork or chicken. But you just get your mushrooms in there. You don't need oil or anything. They are going to soften and the water is going to come out of the mushrooms. So you want to kind of cook that down, let the water boil off. And while the mushrooms are breaking down, you move on to your carrots. I only had baby carrots, so this was a little bit more tedious, but the chopper definitely made it so much faster than it would have been had I needed to do all of it by hand. So I'm getting my carrots into the chopper. I just kind of cut them in half to make it a little easier, but I'm going to get all of those chopped up to add in to the mushrooms once they cook down a bit more. wised up and put my apron on. I was wearing a white shirt. Ugh. But once the vegetables are all tender, you're going to add in your tomato sauce and then the marinara and mix that all together, kind of let it simmer for a minute or so, and then turn it off and set it aside so that you can mix your cheese mixture. Cheese mixture is just your ricotta, mozzarella, Italian seasoning, and then I'm going to mix in the spinach that I did thaw, and I squeezed out all of the moisture. Get that in there, mix it all up, and then you will be able to start layering your lasagna. So for this one, you do about 3 noodles on the bottom, breaking them in half if you need to get them to fit. It doesn't need to be perfect. And you might think it's weird that I'm using glutinous lasagna noodles when I used gluten-free. I have a mild sensitivity, so I can get away with some gluten, and I couldn't find gluten-free ones, so I'm gonna risk it. But I divided my cheese mixture into 3. I just kind of made a little peace sign in the bowl, and you're going to spread that over the noodle, add about a cup or so of sauce, and then more noodles, and then just do that a couple of times until you get to the top, and you can add your cheese. This one took less time to cook in the Crockpot than the tortellini, but it did have a little bit more prep work, so it kind of balances out. But look at that. It was so delicious. I loved this one. Connor brought home some garlic bread on his way home from work, so we warmed that up and put that on the side, and then sat down to dinner. I got Connor trying it, but my kids had something more important going on at the time. Here are our ingredients: diced tomatoes and red kidney beans, chili powder, cumin, salt and pepper, green lentils, our produce, yellow onion, sweet potato, and garlic, and sweet corn is what I have. It just says a cup of frozen corn, and I get this at Costco. And then it calls for vegetable stock. I'm going to use the Better Than Bouillon again. You could easily make this with meat by adding like ground beef instead of the green lentils and doing like a beef broth, but we're gonna go with lentils. All I have to do is chop up my produce really quick. Just needs to be a rough chop, and then get it all in the crock pot. So it's kind of like a dump and go. So aside from some chopping, you can just put everything into the crock pot. You don't have to like pre-cook anything, which is nice. And I am using my hand instead of my chopper this time, just because it was more of a rough chop. Things could be bigger. I didn't need to use the chopper for it. So I'm just going to cut up my onion, get my sweet potato peeled and chopped, and then dice up some garlic and put it all into the crock pot. garlic is in there. I am adding in all of the beans and lentils and tomatoes and all of the seasonings. I really liked this one. I love lentils. They're a great source of protein and fiber, and I had already had kind of a heavy gluten week. I needed a reprieve, and this one was really, really good. Lentils are such a nutritious addition to your diet. They have lots of micronutrients and macronutrients. They're just really, really good for you, and they come in all different varieties depending on the texture that you want, the flavor that you want. Some have more of like a nutty flavor, others are more mild. Lentils are a really, really great food to have in your pantry. They keep forever too. But now that everything is in there, I've got it all mixed and I'm gonna let it cook for the day. My house is gonna smell amazing. This one is so good. You can definitely have fun with your toppings on this one. I added cheese and cilantro with some avocado, and then I just squeezed some lime juice on it. It was so good. I paired it with some corn chips. I've put some like Mexican crema on it before, or sour cream. This one is delicious, and there's so many fun ways that you can kind of dress it up once it's done. Here are our ingredients. It is just Jell-O mix. I'm doing a gluten-free spice cake. It calls for milk, but I'm going to use almond milk, pumpkin puree, and butter. But this one's really fast to come together. Well, I felt weird not doing dessert. I love dessert, and a Crockpot dessert seemed very fitting. So I am mixing all of my ingredients in. I would suggest with this one, mix it in a bowl, not in the parchment paper. The recipe suggests doing it just in the Crockpot, and I'm sure it was just to save dishes, but this was kind of fiddly and frustrating. So I would do it in a bowl instead of mixing it in the Crockpot. But otherwise, this one is really easy to put together, and it was delicious. We had a lot of leftovers just from having a heavy Crockpot week while I was putting this together, so I felt that this was a good final one to do, and it did not disappoint. You saw all of our leftovers from the week, but here is our cake. It was done. It was so good. My kids were very excited. We had some Tillamook vanilla bean ice cream with it. I am in Oregon. It has to be Tillamook. But I dished it up, put the ice cream on top, put a little bit of caramel drizzle on it. This one was perfection. Okay friends, that is everything that I have for you. I hope that these Crockpot meals gave you some ideas. I love sharing this kind of stuff with you. These were so easy and quick to put together and delicious. I appreciate your time. Let me know in the comments if you try any of these or what some of your favorite Crockpot meals are. I am excited to continue to share these with you through the season, so make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, and I'll see you next time. Bye!